Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
And tonight we're talking F-Monster!
Yes, we finally made it to the Fs.
Yeah, real quick, I have two quick announcements, which I'll announce again at the end of the show.
Ooh.
First off, all the videos that were removed from YouTube because of the copyright strike, which goes away in like 7 days, by the way. Please let us not get another in that time. All those videos are now up on our Patreon, or going to be up on our Patreon. It takes a couple days for the Google Drive to process them to be able to put on there. But the first one is already up there, which is a Kamen Rider Geats trailer reaction. And I'm really happy with that. I think it turned out really good. So, if you're not subbed to our Patreon, I'm sorry. I wish I could share those videos with you without you having to spend money, but YouTube literally won't let me.
Yeah.
So that's the best we can do. And the second announcement is that... Oh, and if you did want to check those videos out, there's a link to the Patreon at the bottom of our Twitch page and in the description. So please make sure to check that out. We have a good time there. Right. The second announcement is that we're going to start a Friday stream now. And that may seem really surprising since tomorrow's Friday. But I didn't know for sure if I'd be able to get the camera set up Tuesday or not. But I got it all set up today, and I'm going to be building and painting. So 1 week it'll be building, 1 week it'll be painting. This next one will be building, and I'm going to be building a Gundam model kit. I'm not sure which one yet, a Gunpla, but I'm going to grab one from off the wall, and we're going to start building it.
Excellent.
And so that'll be the same time as all the other streams, 7 o'clock. Yes. We'll have a good time there.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yes, you can catch us here.
So, but that's all the announcements that I have.
All right.
I have our first monster for tonight.
Okay.
It is the Fire Giant Dreadnaught.
Sounds impressive.
So they have a whole blurb here, of course, about how fire giants value not just strength, but also forgecraft.
Yeah.
The Dreadnaughts are the massively powerful fire giants that wield the two huge shields like plow blades. Mm-hmm. The spikes on them, what they do with their downtime. Again, we don't get into all that normally here. We mostly just give you the stat block and how we would run them, but they give you a whole big thing for if you want to have like fire giants as NPCs.
Yeah,
you can do that, which I think is really cool.
I wonder, because there's giants kind of strange because they've got a code of honor. They've got the ordning.
Yeah,
and it doesn't get mentioned much, but it is a big part of the giant society.
That's right.
In D&D, and I think you can find some more of that in the regular monster manual and in the DM's guide.
Yeah,
I believe.
We do have a blurb from Mordenkainen in here. It says, when I first saw a fire giant dreadnought, I doubted the giant could even move. I quickly learned my error. So these things are huge. They have two giant great shields, covered in spikes, big tough armor, right?
Yeah.
Challenge rating 14.
Uh-oh.
So pretty stout. Armor class 21. Hit points 187. And a speed of 30 feet.
No, I think I almost feel that armor AC is too low.
You think so?
By a couple points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, but it definitely could be better for a huge creature. Now they did add in the +3 for the two great shields.
Yeah.
That's a part of the 21.
Yeah.
But this thing is very heavily armored, so
yeah.
If you wanted to bump up its AC, I wouldn't blame you. It is huge, and it speaks giant.
Oh, imagine that.
It has multi-attack, 2 fire shield or rock attacks. Fire shield is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to hit you with its shields. +13 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target. 4d6 plus 8 bludgeoning.
Okay.
Plus 2d6 fire, plus 2d6 piercing.
Okay.
Very stout. It gets 2 of those a turn. Or,
which you have to keep all that in mind if you've got a barbarian that you're in the group, because you might be doing more damage with one thing and less damage with something else.
That's right. The fire is probably going to get past the barbarian's immunities.
Yeah.
The rock attack is the ranged attack, +13 to hit, range 60 to 40, single target, 4d10 plus 8 bludgeoning. And it can also do 2 of those a turn instead of.
Okay.
So it has multi-attack for 2 fire shield or rock attacks.
Okay.
And then it recharging on a 5 or 6 has a shield charge. It moves up to 30 feet in a straight line and can move through the space of any creature smaller than huge, which is probably going to be your whole party.
Yeah.
The first time it enters a creature's space during this move, that creature must succeed on a DC 21 strength save or take 8d6 plus 8 bludgeoning damage plus 4d6 fire damage and be pushed up to 30 feet and knocked prone.
30 feet?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good move, man.
Yeah.
Pretty good move.
Pretty solid. For some people, they're out of the fight for a turn. They're not going to get back. Some melee that only have 25 for movement.
True.
So,
True.
definitely something to think about. It's pretty stout, but it's not too bad when you stretch the imagination, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it for the right group, I guess it'd make a good boss monster, but
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a good, like, mini boss. And you can cause some havoc on the field, moving the players around and stuff
For sure.
without them wanting to be moved.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Fire Newt. This, of course, is a fire lizard, fire newt, a fire salamander that stands on its hind legs, right?
Yes.
These are from the elemental plane of fire. They can be found on the elemental plane. They're hot springs of volcanoes, things like that. They need hot water to live, becoming sluggish after spending a week away from a source of moist heat. I wanted to read that just so I could use the phrase moist heat.
Yeah.
We have the basic warrior,
Okay.
who's pretty reasonable, right? Challenge rating 1/2, AC 13,
Okay.
hit points 27, speed of 30 feet. Of course, he's immune to fire. The fire newt can breathe air and water, so either one. And has multi-attack, 2 scimitar attacks. Again, these low challenge rating monsters that have multi-attack, making them pretty stout. But you kind of need it to be able to go against PCs these days.
Yeah.
Melee weapon attack, single target, plus 3 to hit, 5 foot, 1d6 plus 1 slashing. And it can do 2 of those
Okay.
a turn. It also has a recharge after a short or long rest, so it's a once per battle, right?
Right.
Spitfire. The fire newt spits fire at a creature within 10 feet of it. The creature must make a DC 11 dex save or take 2d8 fire damage, or it takes 2d8 on a failed save, half as much on a successful one.
Okay.
So
That's not a very high number to pass,
no.
but
If they don't pass.
but you're guaranteed damage.
Yeah. At level 1, that's doing
Yeah, quite
pretty
a
good
bit.
damage, so
Yeah.
might kill you.
Right.
We also have a warlock variant.
Okay.
Fire newt warlock of Emix, the Prince of Evil Fire.
Yeah.
It is challenge rating 1, AC of 10, but 13 with mage armor, and 33 hit points. Oh no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you wouldn't get that with the fire newt.
Right. Your shell will be burned to ashes.
That's right. No problem. It's just still amphibious, but it has. Did I say amphibious?
I think
Like a
so. I was letting you go with it.
Okay. It does have Devil Sight though. So
Dang.
magical darkness doesn't impede its dark vision.
Yeah.
And it has Imix's Blessing. When the fire newt reduces the enemy to 0 hit points, the fire newt gains 5 temporary hit points.
Okay.
This is a pretty interesting boss monster, I think, for like a low level party.
Yeah, because you're going to have 2 of them
Yeah.
at least.
So it has multi attack for 3 Morningstar or Fire Ray attacks, which I think makes it the only CR1 monster to have 3 multi attack.
That's pretty
It's
stout.
very strong. Plus 3 to hit on the Morningstar.
Okay.
Reach 5 foot, single target. 1d8 plus 1 piercing.
Okay.
And he gets 3 of those. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. The Fire Ray is a ranged spell attack that it can also do 3 of every turn. Plus 4 to hit, range 120. Single target, 1d6 plus 2 fire.
So minimum 3 nuts. And you can do 3 of those? Mm-hmm. That's pretty rough, man.
Yeah, this thing's pretty stout. It also has spellcasting.
Yeah.
So the spell save DC is 12, and charisma is the modifier. And it is at will, guidance, light, mage armor, mage hand, and prestidigitation.
Oh, that's kind of a fun little spell list.
Yeah, this is a cool thing. I think you run this with a couple Fire Newt warriors
Yeah.
at a level 2 party, maybe,
Yeah.
and you're
gonna
gonna have
be-
a pretty fun fight.
Yeah. It won't. I wouldn't count if it's a party of 4 at level 2 against those 3. I wouldn't quite count that as deadly, but it would be dangerous.
Yeah, it
For
could
level-
become deadly.
Level 1, that's pretty deadly.
Yeah, a level 1 party against one of these things is
Yeah.
they're gonna be in trouble. Somebody's going down. But that's our fire newts. Again, for anybody who's like, well, we're just rolling through these now. There's not that many Fs. I feel like we're probably going to clear through the Fs tonight for sure.
All right.
Next up is the Flail Snail.
All right on.
Heck yeah.
We need these.
This is a creature of the elemental earth that's prized for its multi-hued shell. It may seem harmless, but if a creature's big enough to be a threat, gets too close, it flashes a scintillating light and attacks with its mace-like tentacles.
Yes.
So, Flail Snail, it looks like a regular snail, except for its face,
Right.
which is where the antennas come up to be flails.
Yes.
So, people hunt these things so they can make spell guard shields and robes of scintillating colors.
Well, yeah, that's one thing you need to upsell if you're going to have these in there is how valuable their shell is.
Yeah. Challenge rating's 3, so not too bad.
No?
AC 16. Hit points is 52. Speed's 10 feet, because it's a snail.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
It's immune to fire and poison. Just like everything in this book, it's immune to poison. It has dark vision to 60 feet, tremor sense to 60 feet, and a passive perception of 10.
Okay.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It has an anti-magic shell. It has advantage on saving throws against spells, and any creature making a magical spell attack against the snail has disadvantage on the attack roll. If the snail succeeds on its saving throw against a spell or a spell's attack roll misses it, the snail's shell converts some of the spell's energy into a burst of destructive force. If the spell is of first level or higher, each creature within 30 feet of the snail must make a DC 15 con save, taking 1d6 force damage per level of the spell on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. I love this thing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Oh, you tried to cast Fireball at it.
Yeah. It eats it and spits it back.
Then it has multi-attack, of course. It makes 5 flail tentacle attacks,
Yeah.
as it should.
Yeah.
Each flail tentacle is +5 to hit, reach 10 feet, single target, 1d4 plus 3 bludgeoning, which I think is a good way to balance out the fact that it does 5 of them.
Yeah.
So
of course, one character catches all 5. It's going to be a lot of pain, but
Yeah.
you can kind of spread that out too.
It, of course, has the scintillating shell that recharges after a short or long rest. The snail's shell emits dazzling colored light until the end of the snail's next turn. During this time, the snail's shell sheds bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30. Creatures that can see the shell have disadvantage on attack rolls against it. In addition, any creature within the bright light and able to see the snail when this power is activated must succeed on a DC 15 wisdom saving throw or be stunned until the light ends. Sorry, that was a really tough paragraph to read.
Well, you get to the end there, you'll be stunned with something that got 5 attacks
Yeah.
on you.
And then it has snail defense, of course, or shell defense.
Shell defense.
The flail snail, it's a really tough entry to read, I'm sorry. The flail snail withdraws into its shell. Until it emerges, it gains a +4 bonus to AC and is restrained. It can emerge from the shell as a bonus action on its turn. So, pretty good.
That's a cool monster, man.
Something about the word addition, shell, snail, and flail just made all of that.
The flail snails are cool, man.
Yeah.
And they're an old monster. Mm-hmm. They're an old monster, so.
Next up, we have the Flind.
Okay.
It's not the fiend, it's the Flind. And it's not your friend.
No.
These are gnolls that work for Yinogyu. And specifically, these are the warbrand of, like, his demon worshippers. Not just, hey, we do what Yinogyu says to because he's the Lord of Gnolls. But specifically, we worship him.
Yeah.
And we want his demonic power, and we're getting some of it. CR9.
Oh. That's tough for a knoll.
Yeah. AC 16.
Okay.
Hit points 127. And a speed of 30 foot.
Yeah.
It has a +5 to intimidate, which is really interesting. I just want to throw that out there. And then, of course, it has dark vision 60 feet and passive perception of 15.
Oh, not bad.
So it's pretty good. It also has an aura of bloodthirst. If the Flind isn't incapacitated, any creature that has rampage can make a bite attack as a bonus action while within 10 feet of the Flind. So other servants of Yinogyu have the rampage ability.
Yeah.
So you want to run it with them so that it gives off that aura. It's basically like a Gnoll Paladin for Yinogyu.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Really cool.
I think that's pretty cool.
It has multi-attack, of course. It makes 1 Flail of Chaos attack, 1 Flail of Pain attack, and 1 Flail of Paralysis attack. Or it makes 3 longbow attacks.
Golly.
So it has either the 3 Flail attacks or the longbow attack. 3 longbow attacks. The Flail of Chaos is a +9 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 1d10 plus 5 bludgeoning, and the target must make a DC 16 wisdom save. On a failed save, the target must use its reaction, if available, to make 1 melee attack against a random creature other than the friend within its reach. If there's no creature within reach, the target instead must move half its speed in a random direction.
Okay.
Then it hits you with a Flail of Pain. +9 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 1d10 plus 5 bludgeoning, plus 3d10 psychic.
Oh, that's vicious.
Then it hits you with a Flail of Paralysis. +9 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 1d10 plus 5 bludgeoning damage, and the target must succeed on a DC 16 con save or be paralyzed until the end of its next turn.
Yeah. This could make things go bad quick.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be a real jerk and give one of these an oath bow.
Speaking of the bow, though, the ranged attack is a +6 to hit, range 150, 600,
Yeah.
single target, 1d8 plus 2 piercing.
But yeah.
So,
3 shots with the longbow is pretty impressive.
from a good distance, too. Just,
Yeah. All right, you'll be there in 10 rounds.
yep. Hope you can survive long enough to get there. Then we're just going straight up the chain because we're going to hit Fraz-Urb'luu.
You.
Yeah. Fraz-Urb'luu is the Prince of Deception and the Demon Lord of Illusions. It sounds like it sucks. Yeah, that would hurt. It would not be fun.
Yes.
Fraz-Urb'luu is, look, for anybody who's like, why are you having such a hard time spelling this name, Trey? It is FRAZ-URB''LUU. I'm looking at that and going, well, it must be Fraz-Urb'luu, right?
Yeah. It'll work. Fraz-Urb'luu.
But,
Herbal.
yeah.
It's an herbal Fraz.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Old Frazzy was once imprisoned for centuries below Castle Greyhawk.
Why would they throw that in?
Adds to why I was excited to get here.
Greyhawk's a really different world, man.
Yep.
You can't just throw Greyhawk out there with the other world.
On the world of Earth.
You trying to tell us something, wizards? Huh? We know a couple things coming.
I've been waiting for weeks for us to get to that point. He has slowly rebuilt his power in the Abyss, and he seeks the pieces of the legendary Staff of Power taken from him by those who imprisoned him and command his servants to do likewise. And of course, we're also going to get cultists of him, like we have the other demon princes. Most of the cultists that serve him don't even realize they're serving the god of deception. They think, or the demon god of deception. They think they're serving others. Some of whom he's even tricked to think that they're serving celestials or another fiend.
Oh.
But they work for him.
Yeah.
He is a CR 23.
Okay.
Armor class 18. 337 hit points.
Ooh.
40 foot movement speed, 40 foot fly speed.
Wow.
He has, of course, resistance to cold, fire, lightning, and he can't be poisoned, bludgeoned, piercing, slashed, anything that's not magical. And he can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, or, again, poisoned. He has true sight for 120 feet, passive perception of 24, and telepathy for 120 feet.
Ooh.
He's got legendary resistances, of course. He's got magic resistance, which means he has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. And he has undetectable. He can't be targeted by divination magic, perceived through magical scrying sensors, or detected by abilities that sense demons or fiends. He's deceptive.
Very, very.
He has multi-attack for 1 bite attack and 2 fist attacks, and he can then use Phantasmal Terror, which we're going to get to. His bite is a +16 to hit.
Ooh.
Reach 10 foot, single target, 3d6 plus 9 force damage.
Thing's more bucktooth than I am if it reach 10 foot.
Right? He's got a really long neck.
Oh, okay.
And his fists are +16 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 3d8 plus 9 force damage.
Damn.
Then he can use Phantasmal Terror, and he gets to do this every turn. Fraz-Urb'luu targets one creature he can see within 120 feet of him. The target must succeed on a DC 23 Wisdom saving throw, or it takes 3d10 psychic damage and is frightened of Frazzy till the end of his turn. Then of its next turn.
Okay.
Then he has spellcasting.
That means you don't get to go next turn. You run.
Right.
And at the end of the turn, you ask yourself why you're running.
Right. DC 23, and Charisma's his mod. Which he has a +8 in Charisma, by the way, because he's deceptive.
Yes.
At will, he can cast Alter Self, and he can become medium when changing his appearance.
I can do a lot with that.
He can also cast Detect Magic, Dispel Magic, and Phantasmal Force at will. 3 a day each. He can cast Mislead, Programmed Illusion, and Seeming.
Ooh.
And then once a day each, he can cast Modify Memory and Project Image.
That you can do some dirty, underhanded stuff with that stack of spells.
Yep. Then he has legendary actions, of course, and works the same way as always. He can choose 3, and he can choose between any. A tail attack, which is +16 to hit, reach 15-foot single target, 2d10 +9 force damage, and if the target's large or smaller, it's also grappled with the escape DC being 24. And it's restrained until the grapple ends. He can grapple only one creature with his tail at a time. And then for 2 actions, he can just use Terror, which just lets him use another thing of Phantasmal Terror.
Oh, okay. There you go. Get a couple of them right off the first round.
Then he's got lair actions, because of course he does.
Oh, yeah.
He can conjure walls and doors. He causes up to 5 doors within the lair to become walls, and an equal number of doors to appear on walls where there previously were none.
That would be fun.
Lots of cool stuff you can do there.
Yeah.
And he's also got a Psychic Anguish. Creates a wave of anguish.
Don't we all?
That's very true. Each creature you can see within the lair must succeed on a DC 23 Wisdom saving throw or take 60-10 psychic damage.
Man, these saving throws are rough on this guy.
Yep.
They should be.
They should be. And then finally, he's got Simulacrum. He chooses one humanoid within the lair and instantly creates a Simulacrum of that creature, as if created with a Simulacrum spell. Simulacrum obeys Fraz-Urb'luu's commands and is destroyed on the next initiative count of 20.
Oh, wild.
Then we have the regional effects.
Yeah.
Which are Beguiling Realm. Within 6 miles of the lair, all persuasion and insight checks have disadvantage, and all deception and performance checks have advantage.
Okay. Nice little balance there.
Nostalgic Pangs. Sapient creatures within a mile of the lair frequently see hallucinations of long-dead friends and comrades that vanish after only a brief glimpse.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It can cause you to start visioning.
Yep.
That's a comforting feeling.
My personal favorite, Twisted Paths. Roads and paths within 6 miles of the lair twist and turn back on themselves, making navigation in this area exceedingly difficult.
Ugh. Very interesting. That's a cool monster.
Very cool. I agree. And then finally, his cultists get advantage on insight or perception checks. And as a bonus action, the creature detects the location of all illusions and hitting creatures within 15 feet of it.
Oh.
Which is very solid.
Man, the right campaign, that'd be very, very handy.
Yeah. I think that you could have a really fun series of encounters as the party fights a cultist group from each of the different demon princes.
Yeah.
And then eventually they fight a group that's one of each of those cultists.
Ah, yeah.
And each of them have their different abilities. And yeah. All right.
I'd let them do really good in the first battles.
Yeah.
And be like, look, y'all did so well. Y'all got the demons together.
That's right. Enough demons for now, though.
Okay.
Because now it's time for the Froghemoth.
The Froghemoth?
The Froghemoth.
Yes.
Amphibious predator, as big as an elephant.
Frog. Oh, that's terrifying.
It lairs in swamps and has 4 tentacles, a thick rubbery hide, a fang-filled maw with a prehensile tongue, and an extendable stalk sporting 3 bulbous eyes that face in different directions.
That's terrifying.
Froghemoths are creatures not of this world.
You think?
A journal purportedly written long ago by the wizard Larn describes strange cylindrical chambers of metal buried on the ground from which Froghemoths emerged, but no reliable reports of the locations of such places exists. So,
okay.
If bullywugs come across a Froghemoth, they'll treat the Froghemoth as a god. A Froghemoth can be tamed after a fashion.
Okay.
By offering it food, and bullywugs can communicate with it on a basic level, so the creature might eat only a few bullywugs before following the rest. The bullywugs will gather food as tribute for it, provide it with a comfortable lair, protect it from harm, and try to ensure that any of its offspring reach maturity.
Ugh.
This thing is hideous and wonderful. It has 4 enormous tentacles. It's a frog sitting on its back legs with no front legs, and a stalk that comes up with 3 eyes, and then it has the special forked tongue.
Something like him in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah. So it's CR10. It's a huge monstrosity. AC 14. 161 hit points.
Okay.
30-foot movement speed. 30-foot swim speed. It is resistant to fire and lightning, but not to poison, which is really interesting to me because it's a frog.
I don't understand how water creatures got resistance to lightning, but okay.
I don't either. I think it's because it's not of this world.
Oh, it must be it. Yes.
But it has amphibious, it can breathe air and water, and it has shock susceptibility. If it takes lightning damage, it suffers 2 effects until the end of its next turn. Its speed is halved, and it has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. It takes half damage from lightning, but lightning discombobulates it.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
The Froghemoth has multi-attack, of course. 1 bite attack, 2 tentacle attacks, and it can use tongue.
Yeah.
The bite attack is a +10 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 3d10 plus 6 piercing, and the target is swallowed if it is a medium or smaller creature.
No.
A swallowed creature is blinded and restrained, has total cover against attacks and other effects outside the Froghemoth, and takes 3d6 acid damage at the start of each of the Froghemoth turns. The Froghemoth's gullet can hold up to 2 creatures at a time.
Wow.
If the Froghemoth takes 20 damage or more on a single turn from a creature inside it, it must succeed on a DC 20 con saving throw at the end of that turn, or regurgitate all swallowed creatures, each of which falls prone in a space within 10 feet of the Froghemoth. If the Froghemoth dies, any swallowed creature is no longer restrained by it and can escape from the corpse using 10 feet of movement, exiting prone.
Gross.
Now, need to specify here, if 2 creatures are stuck inside, it does not have to be 20 damage from 1 creature only. It's 20 damage in total on a single turn from inside. So they can work together to get out.
Kind of close. This is the stat block I would use if I was running that.
Yes. So work with your teammates to get out of the frog's stomach before it eats you.
Yes.
The tentacle attack is, it's add time.
Add time.
Yeah, labyrinth. That's true. There is a Y in that word. Which would you rather be trying to eat you? The Flind or the Froghemoth?
Oh, man. Probably the Froghemoth, because at least I'm going to be whole when it eats me.
That's very true.
The Flind's just going to rip you apart and eat pieces of you at a time.
That's very true. That's a very good point. All right, what are we saying? How long since the last ad? Should be good.
No. All right.
The tentacle attack is a +10 to hit, reach 20 foot, single target, 3d8 plus 6 bludgeoning, and the target's grappled, of course. Escape DC 16.
Okay.
If it's huge or smaller creature until the grapple end, it can't use that tentacle on another target and has 4 tentacles. And then the tongue, it targets 1 medium or smaller creature that it can see within 20 feet of it. The target must make a DC 18 strength save. On a failed save, he's pulled into an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the Froghemoth so that he can be bit next turn.
Yeah.
It's great.
This feels like a really fun one-shot monster.
I think so.
I mean, you make characters, you're going to battle some bullywugs, fight your way up to the temple, and this is the end one.
Yeah, I think so too. You didn't have one again. Why are you dodging the ads, Waverly? We need those. They pay the bills. They keep the lights on. We have 2 more Fs
to give.
Yep. I almost said it. I was hoping you would finish it for me. I really, truly was.
All right.
This is the equivalent of the Fire Giant Dreadnaught. It's the Frost Giant Everlasting one.
Okay.
Basically, any Frost Giant that is in the upper echelons of their orders must routinely face mighty foes in single combat. And these are the ones that have kept winning.
Okay.
Basically, these are the top tier of the top tier. They'll devour trolls, bones and all, sent by Veprak, their god, in a challenge. and they become everlasting because of it. They get the troll's regenerative ability, and they continue to win, which some believe in Frost Giant culture means that they haven't won by their own strength because the troll was sent by their god.
Oh, yeah.
They still had to beat it, but...
See, this is where I think it's really cool to get these other giants.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
But they're kind of an island on an island here, so to speak, because there's so much about the background of just giants, of why a hill giant will bow to a frost giant.
Right.
You know, all these little things. And they're kind of playing into parts of the ordning here.
Yeah.
With, you know, the backlash and everything, but they're not really giving it all out. But I'm glad they're there.
I agree.
As far as the giants go in these books, I think they don't stand alone very well.
Right.
Yeah, I think you need to bring in some ideas that they've already put out.
Right, I agree.
With them.
There is one more really cool thing I wanted to bring up about these lore-wise. If they don't honor their god enough, Viprak will become mad at them and will loosen his hold on their body, and they will become more troll than they were and start sporting warts and start turning green. And then the other frost giants will kick them out because they haven't been worshiping Viprak enough.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to me. That's so cool lore-wise. Maybe you find one that's, become more troll and kicked out, and it's mad, CR12.
Okay.
15 AC, 189 hit points, and 40 speed. Yeah, where is Nightbot tonight? What are you doing, Nightbot? Want to check in on him.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. Of course, it's immune to cold damage, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it has 60 foot of dark vision. It has extra heads. The giant has a 25% chance of having more than one head. If it has more than one, it has advantage on perception checks and on saving throws against being blinded, deafened, frightened, stunned, or knocked unconscious.
Right, okay.
It also has regeneration, so it gains 10 hit points at the start of each of its turns. If it takes acid or fire damage, the trait doesn't function at the start of the next turn.
Yeah.
Only dies if it starts its turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate.
Yeah, that regenerate. Well, if you get a couple, lower rolls, that regeneration is going to hurt you. But at that level, I think maybe like a shot of 20.
Yeah, the 10 is not enough at that level.
I think. Yeah.
It has multi-attack for 2 great axe or rock attacks. The great axe is plus 11 to hit, 10 foot reach, single target, 3d12 plus 7 slashing, or 3d12 plus 11 slashing while raging. We're going to get to that.
Okay.
This thing's a barbarian.
Yes, it is.
It also has the rock, which is plus 11 to hit, range 62-40, single target, 4d10 plus 7 bludgeoning. Pretty solid.
Pretty solid.
As a bonus action, it can rage, which is encounter power. That's old lingo. That's 3/5. Recharges after short or long rest, what we call it now.
Okay, yes.
We don't use the term encounter power anymore. We don't use the term daily anymore. I miss those terms.
Well, we've actually talked about that.
Yeah.
There's like second edition, there was so much stuff that was once per day.
Yep.
And now it's get an amp, you can do it again.
Once per day, once per encounter.
Yeah.
Viprak's rage, recharged after short or long rest. The giant enters a rage. The rage lasts for a minute or until the giant's incapacitated. While raging, the giant gains the following benefits. Advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, as you'd expect. When it makes a melee weapon attack, it gains a +4 bonus to the damage roll.
Nice.
And it has resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
So it's pretty solid. Mm-hmm. And I like that because that's not overboard.
Right.
I think that's a pretty solid little advantage for that they can use in the encounter.
I think so too. And when you tie that into the 10 HP, which I agree with you, should still probably be 20.
Yeah.
Taking half damage from those sources will be really good.
Yeah.
But by CR12, the caster in the group is going to be doing more damage than that. And it won't be halved.
Yeah. And if you're DM and run and have a different view on it, let me know. Because what I'm thinking is if you have a barbarian, a fighter, a caster, and a healer in the group, that 10 points is not going to slow up the damage that much.
Right.
It's not going to be getting that much back.
Yeah. I agree. And then finally, for our last F, we have the counterpart to the fire newt, which is the frost salamander. So they're giving you fire giant, fire newt, frost giant, frost salamander.
Okay.
Something to consider maybe running with it.
Yeah.
It works exactly the same way. They come from the plane of ice, which sometimes is called the frost fell. It's one of those minor planes. We talked about it a little bit when we talked about the planes, that there are minor planes in between those. It's a CR9. At some point, we'll probably go back over the planes again.
Yeah.
Talk about the minor planes.
We like talking about them.
Especially the 747. I make that joke every time. It doesn't stop being funny to me, but I know it's not funny to all of you.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I have to give you a Cessna and deceased letter.
So this is CR9.
Okay.
AC 17.
Okay.
Pretty stout.
Yeah.
168 hit points. 60-foot walking speed. 40-foot burrow speed. 40-foot climb speed.
Okay. You can get around.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's weak to fire. It's got a vulnerability to fire. Double damage.
Fair enough.
And it's resistant or immune to cold, sorry. It has dark vision and tremor sense both to 60 feet and a passive of 14 for perception. It has burning fury. When it takes fire damage, its freezing breath automatically recharges.
Oh, okay.
Which is very cool.
That is cool.
Because once your party figures out it takes extra fire damage, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So getting that freezing breath every turn is really nice.
Yeah.
Multi-attack, 1 bite, 4 claws. CR9, this is a good boss monster.
Yeah.
+9 to hit on the bite, reach 15 foot. Single target, 1d8 plus 5 piercing, plus 1d10 cold.
Okay.
And then come the claws. +9 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 1d6 plus 5 piercing. And again, you're getting 4 of those on top of the bite. So
right.
Pretty solid.
It's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good monster. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to hit a lot.
Yeah.
At the 17 AC mark, but I think it might put out quite a bit of damage.
Well, and it can burrow if it needs to.
Yeah.
It can climb. And it also has that freezing breath, where it excels chilly wind in a 60-foot cone, not chilly.
Yeah. Chilly winds, what'd you get from Texas, from like Wolf Brand?
Yeah. Each creature in that area, 60-foot cone, must make a DC 17 con save.
Ooh, that's
taking
pretty tough.
8d10 cold on a failed save or half as much on a successful one.
No, it's so weird because I'm thinking, right, that as we're going over these saves.
Yeah.
And I just realized that there's some saves where I'm like, okay, I think that's feasible for any class.
Right.
And there is, at this level, some tough wizards out there. And by that, I mean, they took tough or they've got their AC up, you know, more, things like that. But some of them, like what the last we talked about with the 23 wisdom save.
Yeah.
Nobody's got that much wisdom.
Right. You're getting hurt.
Nobody plays that much wisdom.
No, it's a 17 con save is pretty rough, and especially since every turn that it takes fire damage, it gets that back for free. Mm-hmm. So I can just do it every turn.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good.
Yeah.
But pretty solid monster.
And I think they need a bestiary skill on the character sheet.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be
you could take.
Maybe a feat. I'm thinking they've got animal handling, they got nature, they got survival. I guess you could roll nature.
Yeah.
On that, but I think just an understanding of the supernatural beasts.
Yeah.
You know that hey, there's a chance that you've got to study this, and so you can get. So not only do you have that in your pocket as a DM, hey, if they use fire damage, I get this back. Yeah. But it's also something that a character can go, hey, I want to see if I know anything about this, some weakness or something we can do.
I agree. They gave that to Ranger. You just have to look at it for 10 minutes first.
Because they gave it to Ranger.
Completely worthless. Even a minute's too long. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But 10 minutes?
Well, you got a minute to hide yourself if you got camouflage.
Yeah.
You got 1 minute to get.
That's right. Oh, Rangers. Why did they do you like that? Why did they do you so dirty?
To be consistent. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. So now we move into the G's.
All right.
And there's a good number of G's, but it's just like, hey, we're hitting these different types of monsters. It's not like, hey, here's a bunch.
Okay.
There's about 12 of them, I do believe.
Fair enough.
So we're probably not going to get them all tonight, but we'll be able to cover a good chunk of them.
Sweet. Okay.
The first one is the Goth. and I know what you're thinking. However, I'm sorry to tell you,
plus 12 moodiness.
this is not your big titty golf GF.
As you come through the hole, you hear My Chemical Romance blasting.
This is instead a Beholderkin. It is a Beholderkin that has a recessed eye, which means you can see all the brain matter around the eye, and then has a really long jaw with really sharp teeth. So don't get too excited yet. Internet.
Yeah. It's a...
Maybe 8.
Okay, sorry. Look, all I'm saying is you can find these things marching in a black parade, all right?
That's right. Specifically, Goths, as compared to Beholders, which just like to, be around magic and study magic.
Yeah.
Goths like to eat it.
Okay.
They love to eat magic. They can survive on meat, but they prefer to eat magic objects. And if starved of magic for several weeks, it is forced back to its home plane. So it constantly seeks new items to drain. It can work with people, and sometimes it'll, somebody will try to summon a spectator, like we talked about in the previous book.
Yes.
And instead get a Goth.
That's terrible.
That is the worst, because it's immediately going to eat the caster.
Yeah.
But they want magic real bad, and they don't want to go home.
Well, I think that's a good one-shot monster too. Especially if you got a dungeon, you got some rust eaters in there, and you got this thing. You can go ahead and take the equipment you want at the beginning.
Get some super-powered magic items early on.
Yeah.
The Goth is a CR6.
Okay.
But it really doesn't feel like a CR6 to me, and we're going to get into why. 15 AC, which is reasonable for CR6. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
52 hit points. Not that much, right?
No.
0 foot walking speed, but 20 foot fly speed hover.
Yeah.
It can't be knocked prone, of course, because it flies. It has a passive perception of 15 at CR6.
Okay.
And it has dark vision to 120 feet. It has a stunning gaze. When the creature that can see the Goth's central eye starts its turn within 30 feet of the Goth can force it to make a DC 14 Wisdom saving throw. If the Goth isn't incapacitated and can see the creature, a creature that fails the save is stunned until the start of its next turn.
All this stunning.
Yep. Unless surprised, a creature can avert its eyes at the start of its turn to avoid the saving throw. If it does so, it of course can't see the Goth till the start of its next turn, which means, it can't see it.
Yeah, so I have disadvantage on their attacks unless they have blind fighting.
Mm-hmm. Then it has, also just specify, if at any point it does look at it, maybe to attack it, it must then make the save.
Yeah.
Then it has death throws. When the Goth dies, its magical energy within it explodes, and each creature within 10 feet of it must make a DC 14 dex save or take 3d8 force damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful.
That's a nice little punch right there at the end.
It has a bite, which is just +3 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d8 piercing. Not too bad. But it has the eye rays. And it shoots 3 of them at random. You roll 3d6, reroll duplicates, targeting 1 to 3 creatures it can see within 120 feet of it.
Mm-hmm.
The first one's Devour Magic Ray. Target must succeed on a DC 14 dex save or have one of its magic items lose all magical properties until the start of the Goth's next turn.
That's just mean, man.
If the object is a charged item, it also loses 1d4 charges.
Oh, man.
Determine the affected item randomly, ignoring single-use items such as potions and scrolls. So at least you have that.
Yeah.
It's not going to eat your scrolls unless you don't have any other magic items on you.
Yeah.
And then as a DM, I would probably let it eat your scrolls.
Yeah, it's going to suck your scrolls, yes.
The second one's an Innervation Ray. Target must make a DC 14 con save or take 48 necrotic damage on a failed save, half as much as a success.
Okay.
Very damaging at CR6.
Yeah. Very.
48 will probably kill some of your party members at 6th level.
So what we're doing, 32? That's the max you can do with that, right?
Yeah.
48, 32.
Yeah, at 6th level, your wizard probably only has 26 HP.
Yeah. Your barbarian, your fighter's going to be past that just for the DC.
That'd be good. Cleric and paladin will be better.
Yeah.
Monk is right there, though. Depending on how you built it, like con-wise, it's right there. And your rogue is probably right underneath it. So it's rough. The fire ray, a little bit more reasonable, I guess. DC 14 dex save. People more likely to have that over the con.
Yeah.
But it's 4d10 fire damage. A paralyzing ray, DC 14 con save, or be paralyzed for 1 minute. And you repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. But that's 10 rounds.
Yeah.
A pushing ray, where it must succeed on a DC 14 strength save or be pushed up to 15 feet away from the Goth and have its speed halved until the start of the Goth's next turn. So it pushed you away and you're probably not getting back.
Yeah.
Then finally a sleep ray, which at DC 6 is, or CR 6 is, that's death if you're not careful.
Yeah.
The target must succeed on a DC 14 wisdom saving throw or fall asleep and remain unconscious for 1 minute. The target awakens if it takes damage or another creature takes an action to wake it. The ray has no effect on constructs and undead.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Standard for.
However, it only awakens if it takes damage or gets woken up. So if you get slept and then pushed off a cliff, you're just dead.
Yeah. You won't know because you were asleep.
Right. But you're just done, son.
Not only that, if you got a couple other creatures with this one, if you're asleep, I mean, something runs up to hit you, that's pretty much an automatic hit.
Yeah.
The way we usually roll something like that is, hey, don't roll a 1.
Right.
If you roll a 1, you know you're gonna mess up. But that's the only thing you'd have.
Right.
You know.
Otherwise, you're hitting.
Yeah.
Personally, I would say this should at least be CR 8 in my mind, with the amount of damage it's able to put out. I know it doesn't have that much HP, but it doesn't need to.
Well, the only reason why
we appreciate it,
I think, because your rays are random.
right?
You don't get, if you got to pick what you wanted to shoot.
Oh, for sure.
That
for
would be absolutely, it'd be
but
twice
you're
as
getting
deadly at least.
3 of those 6 per turn.
True.
You know,
And if you roll the right 3,
range.
yeah, if you roll the right 3,
yeah. Hey, you're taking necrotic damage and fire damage, and I'm eating your magic armor that protects you from the magic that I'm hitting you with. Yeah.
Depending on the order you do it in.
Yeah, it can be really rough.
It can be, but that's a kind of up to randomness. So it may not do much.
So just be careful when you run it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, if you got a party of elves and you're constantly shooting with sleep ray, you're not.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
they're gonna win.
Yeah.
Next up is my personal favorite of the new variant beholders that they've introduced, which is the Gazer, which is not even new per se. It's coming back.
Well, it's a beholder without the eye stalks, or it used to be.
Yeah, it's a baby beholder.
Okay.
It's a little guy. Just a little guy. Just a little scrumblow. He's just sitting there, he's got no arms, of course, but he's just a little small and he's got little tiny stalks. He's just happy. And my favorite thing about this is that they went, hey, we know we made it cute, so we're going to make a familiar variant of it that people can get.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's no way that somebody trying to make this thing a pet.
Yep. So you can get it as a familiar. The Gazer can serve another creature as a familiar, forming a telepathic bond with its willing master, provided that the master is at least a 3rd level spellcaster. While the two are bonded, the master can sense what the Gazer senses so long as they are within a mile of each other. If its master causes it physical harm, the Gazer will end its service as a familiar, breaking the telepathic bond. However, you don't get to then use Find Familiar with it and desummon it or resummon it.
Yeah.
It's a special familiar, but...
And it should be.
It should be. It, of course, is just challenge 1/2. It is a tiny aberration. It's got an AC of 13. It's got hit points at 13.
Okay.
It has a better fly speed than the Goth.
Okay.
But it's probably just because it's smaller. It can't be knocked prone because it flies. 30-foot hover speed. It has mimicry. It can mimic simple sounds of speech it's heard in any language. Creature that hears the sounds can tell their imitations with a successful DC 10 insight check.
So it's not super great at it.
Right. It's trying its best.
It's
little,
working.
Cute little guy. It has a bite, which is +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1 piercing damage. It does have eye rays, though.
Oh.
It fires 2 of the following eye rays at random. You roll 2d4s and reroll duplicates, choosing 1 of 2 targets you can see within 60 feet of it. The first is a dazing ray. Creature must succeed on a DC 12 wisdom saving throw or be charmed till the start of the Gazer's next turn. While it's charmed in this way, its speed is halved and has disadvantage on attack rolls.
Okay, special charm.
It has a fear ray, DC 12 wisdom saving throw or be frightened. It has a frost ray, DC 12 dex saving throw or take 3d6 cold.
That's pretty stout for...
Pretty good.
Yeah.
But like you said before, it's random.
Yeah.
Might not get that at all. And the final is a telekinetic ray. If the target's a creature that's medium or smaller, it must succeed on a DC 12 strength save or be moved up to 30 feet directly away from the gazer. If the target's a tiny object that isn't being worn or carried, the gazer moves it up to 30 feet in any direction. The gazer can also exert fine control on objects with this ray, such as manipulating a simple tool or opening a container.
Oh, dang. It almost feels like a mage hand.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes it pretty good. That makes it interesting.
And then really interestingly, it has aggressive as a bonus action. It can move up to its speed towards a hostile creature it can see. Why not? Why not? Here
Absolutely.
it comes. It's a fun little thing.
Susceptible to tennis rackets.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll probably have time for one more.
Okay, let's get it.
Which is Geryon.
Oh, okay.
This is, of course, the fiend Geryon, who's locked in the endless struggle with Levistus for control of Stygia. They fought for centuries. Currently, Levistus is Lord of Stygia, but Geryon, of course, will continue to try and fight his way back up. Among the archdevils, he's known for his martial prowess. He's a ferocious hunter and a relentless tracker. A Geryon.
Yeah.
Geryon. He is a huge snake man with wings and an arm that is a horn with a chain on the end that has some really cool benefits that we're going to get to. But he also has a scorpion tail.
Okay.
This is a demon of pretty big renown, I guess, over the course of mythology.
Yeah.
That is in a lot of video games and was in D&D before, but this is definitely a new look for him now.
Yeah.
He's got a brand new stat sheet, basically. CR 22.
Okay.
So they gave him his chops, right?
Yeah.
AC 19, 300 hit points.
Yeah.
30-foot movement speed, 50-foot fly speed.
That's pretty tight.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical that aren't silvered because he's an archfiend. He has immunity to cold, fire, and poison, and he can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, or, of course, poisoned. He has true sight to 120 feet, because of course he would, and passive perception of 20, and he can speak all languages with a telepathy of 120 feet. I guess it's better to say because he's an archfiend, it's not that he speaks all languages, it's that all languages convert into something he knows.
Yeah.
And his words convert into something people know.
Yeah.
Archfiends, man. Legendary resistance, of course, 3's a day. He has magical resistance, and he has regeneration. He gets 20 back.
Yeah.
And it's only if he takes radiant damage that it doesn't trigger. And he only dies for good if he's at 0 and doesn't trigger regeneration. And you may say that's not a lot, but when you get all the other stuff he can do, it's probably good that it's stuck at 20 for him. Because he has multi-attack. He can make 1 claw and 1 stinger attack.
Oh.
His claw is plus 16 to hit. Reach 15 foot, single target. 4d6 plus 9 cold. And if the target's large or smaller, it's grappled. DC 24 to escape. It's restrained till the grapple ends, and he can grapple 1 creature at a time. If a target's already grappled by Geryon, that target takes an extra 68 cold.
Ooh, that's a shot.
So it's really interesting that he can just, hey, here we go, you know?
Yeah.
He also has a stinger, plus 16 to hit, reach 20 feet, single target, 2d4 plus 9 force, and you say, well, that's not a lot of damage for a big guy like this. It's coming. And the target must succeed on a DC 21 con save or take 2d12 poison damage and become poisoned till it finishes a long or short rest.
Oh, wow.
The target's hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to half the poison damage taken. This reduction lasts until the poison condition is removed.
Ugh.
The target dies if its hit point maximum is reduced to 0.
Wow.
So if it poisons you, your maximum keeps dropping until you can get that removed.
Yeah, that's pretty stout poison.
You either need to kill him or you need a cleric.
Yeah. And you've got to play this guy. You've got to play him a little bit arrogant.
Yep.
I mean, especially when you come in to fight him. If you're fighting him martial style, bowing up on him, that's his domain.
That's right. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He also has spellcasting, because of course he does.
Yeah.
Charisma is his mod. Spell save 21.
Cool.
At will, alter self, can change to medium. Detect magic, ice storm, invisibility, only for himself.
Oh, now you want to say something, Nightbot.
Locate object, suggestion, and wall of ice.
That's a good spell.
And then once per day, he can teleport up to 120 feet to an unoccupied space he can see.
Oh.
I'm sorry, no. He can do that whenever he wants. Once a day, he can cast Banishment.
Oh.
And he can teleport.
And look, it's like banishment's a really tough spell.
Yep. You're gone.
Yeah, you're no longer in the fight.
Yeah.
And they can be very upsetting to a player, I understand.
But it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the bad guy use it, you know? He also has the legendary actions, of course. Mm-hmm. Infernal Glare. Geryon targets one creature he can see within 60 feet of him. Target must succeed on a DC 23 Wisdom saving throw, become frightened until the end of its next turn. He can also teleport as a legendary action for free.
Okay.
And then he has Swift Sting. He makes one stinger attack for 2 actions. He just make another one.
Okay. But he's got to spend 2 legendary actions to do that one. Okay.
To get that extra free sting.
Okay.
Then he's got lair actions.
Yeah.
The first one is Banish. He gets a free use of Banishment.
Man. Yeah, that's wrong. That's mean.
Ooh.
I got rid of 2. I can get rid of 2 of your players in the first round.
Yep. And then the rest of them will have to try and survive till the others come back.
Yeah.
He has Chill Blast. He causes a blast of cold to burst from the ground at a point he can see within 120 feet of him. The cold fills a cube, 10 feet on each side, centered on that point. Each creature in that area must succeed on a DC 21 con save or take 8d6 cold damage. And then he has Hateful Restraints. He targets one creature he can see within 60 feet of him. Target must succeed on a DC 21 Wisdom save or become restrained for a minute. Target can end the effect on itself if it deals any damage to one or more of its allies. Okay. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Regional effects. Freezing winds howl around the area of his lair within a mile. Chilling wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enervating screams. Howls and screams fill the air within a mile of the lair. Any creature that finishes short or long rest in the area must succeed on a DC 21 Wisdom save or derive no benefit from the rest.
Yes. Yeah.
And Hellish Doorways. Sapient creatures within a mile of the lair frequently see shimmering portals leading to places they consider safe. Passing through the portal always deposits a traveler somewhere in Stygia.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. He's also got Cultists, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the abilities they get are probably the best ones we've gotten to so far.
Really?
They get an encounter power, recharge after short or long rest for Crushing Blow. As a bonus action, the creature gains the bonus to the damage roll of its next melee weapon attack. Roll that hits within the next minute. That hits. The bonus equals its strength mod.
Okay.
And they get Indomitable Strength, which recharges on a 5 or 6. As a reaction, when this creature takes damage, it can roll a d10 and subtract the number rolled from the damage.
That's a nice little power.
Very good.
Very nice.
And finally, Geryon has a variant ability you can add to him that they left as a variant because they thought he was too strong. So this is a, hey, if your party can handle it, he can sound the horn. I told you we were going to get there.
Yes.
Once per day, Geryon blows the horn, which causes 5d4 Minotaurs to appear in unoccupied spaces of his choice within 600 feet of him. The Minotaurs roll initiative when they appear, and they obey his commands. They remain until they die, or Geryon uses an action to dismiss any or all of them.
Oh my gosh.
So you got 2 players out of the fight.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here's 5d4 Minotaurs.
Yeah, you get 20 Minotaurs.
Yep. On top of everything else.
No. That could be, that's a good late game boss monster.
Yeah.
I like the way he sounds and how I feel like he would play.
That's a fun fight.
I think so.
Old Geryon.
Yeah.
So, we got a lot more to come, of course. A lot more G's coming up, including some really fun ones that I'm excited to talk about. So please look forward to that.
Yeah.
I'll repeat the announcements from the start of the show here. All the videos that were taken down by YouTube are now up on our Patreon, or will be up on our Patreon very soon. So you can check those out there. I'm sorry they can't be free for everybody on YouTube, but YouTube won't let us put them up there.
Yeah.
So they're on Patreon now. And then I'm going to start streaming on Fridays, building Gunpla and painting 40K models. And that starts tomorrow. So if you can't make it out, I understand because it's incredibly short notice. But the VOD will go up on YouTube like it always does. Yeah. So please look forward to that.
Remember, you can always catch us here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and now Fridays. Same time on Twitch and YouTube.
That's right. Well, I guess we should probably wrap up then.
Yeah, I'm still kind of why they throw Greyhawk in there.
Yep. You mentioned Greyhawk on like the 3rd episode of Mordenkainen's.
Yeah.
And I knew this was coming and had to not say anything.
Oh.
So I'm happy.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm happy.
What I would like for them, even just to put out what Greyhawk is, because they haven't brought Greyhawk back. They keep talking about, like, you know, Greyhawk's one of the original worlds.
Yeah.
You know, they had, it was the kind of, it's the kind of world where there's a crossover between our world and D&D world.
Right.
That's what it was made for. And there's certain rules, and that Greyhawk's different, just as different as like Spelljammer. And I don't know. And you can kind of, they throw it out there willy-nilly, like people will know.
Right.
And they don't know.
Also, just a quick reminder for anybody that's like, man, we're taking way too long to get through this book. There are 10 G's left. Then there are 6 H's.
So maybe we'll finish those off next week.
1 J.
Oh, I'll throw that one in there.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 K's. So I know it seems like we're taking a long time, but after this point, up until we get to the S's, it's going to be pretty smooth sailing.
Okay. And get some letters knocked out.
Yeah.
Get them out of the way.
But until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Rungren.
We've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. The Geryon.